a group hack sesh because I got like way busier than I thought I was going to get, and I did some research. I kind of have sort of a direction I want to go here, and we can all kind of jump in together. Anyone has done any RubyMotion before? So none over here? Okay, cool. Real basic beginning here is that RubyMotion is kind of somewhat of an abstraction layer over Objective-C, Cocoa stuff as it is. And then most of the time, everything that I have done in the past has been another gem on top of that, which is called Red Potion. And Red Potion is a really awesome way. As you can see over here, it does some things where it sort of makes the folder structure a little bit better, makes it a little bit easier to understand. And so, it has a screens folder. If you want a new screen, you just make a new file in here. And then this PM stands for ProMotion, which is another little gem that's kind of wrapped up in Red Potion. It was two different gems that sort of joined forces. So you'll see some PM stuff for ProMotion, and you'll see some RMQ stuff for RubyMotion Query. In general, what we have here is the simulator, the iOS simulator, and then we have our project directory right here. So within the project directory, if I run rake after I've kind of got the basic stuff up and running, it'll compile some things, load up the simulator, and then load up the app. So here's the app. If I click right, it says button right. If I click left, it crashes probably. Oh no, it didn't crash. That's right. I put something. Oh yeah. So okay. So what I want to do is create an app that uses the camera to count the dots on dominoes. I play dominoes with my friends sometimes, and at the end of a round, you just have a pile of dominoes in front of you, and it's like, okay, now I have to count all these, and there's like 12s and 11s and 3s, and you're kind of like, okay, and you try to add it all up, and sometimes you're not sure if you got it right. I found an iOS app that is a little calculator where instead of numbers on it, it's like the dot arrangements on dominoes, and you can just tap them, and you can add it up that way. So instead of like there being 1 through 9, it's like 1 through, is it 12? I think 12 is the highest number, 1 through 12. And it's just the patterns that are on a normal domino. So you just look at the patterns and you're like, I have one of those and one of those and one of those, and adds it up. But I thought this would be a fun little technical challenge of using some sort of computer vision, some sort of like pattern recognition stuff. So the problem is that in iOS development, I don't know if this is the case in Xcode, but in RubyMotion, you can't use the camera. The camera's just, you have to export onto an actual phone and use the actual phone on a camera. You can't like do any development like the simulator here just doesn't have a camera, and there's no possible way to use that. So my thought was, to start with, it would be just a photo picker where you just take an image that's already on there and then play with that. So I started going down that path, and I thought like, oh, this is going to be an easy one. I'll just like pull up the photo picker. But for some reason, that is harder than I thought it was going to be. So the first step, the first thing we're going to do is get that to work. Have you ever done that before? Okay, okay. I thought for sure there was going to be like a simpler like bubble wrap way to do that. But like as much as I was searching around, I could not find it. I found bubble wrap camera, and it like, see here, camera. Oh, not that. And I also tried including that this here, but it seemed like every time it still wanted the actual camera there. Do you have any examples? Pull up your work, Joan. So in the meantime, the computer vision library that I think is the best one out there that's generally cross-platform and open source and all that kind of stuff is called OpenCV. Anybody ever heard of it before? Yeah? I've never heard of it before, but it seems pretty cool. And yeah. And OpenCV, I found out that blob detection is kind of the name of the game here. There's a bunch of stuff where there's examples with Python, but nothing where there's examples with Ruby. At one point, my attempt was, okay, forget about RubyMotion, forget about all that, just like get an image and do this with Ruby. But installing OpenCV locally and getting that running was insane, and I still couldn't quite figure that part out. But the basic idea is that a blob is a group of connected pixels in an image that share some common property. So here's an example of an image with some blobs in it. There's like here they have like a Python like kind of standard example, C++ standard example, and it looks like there are a couple main kind of things like threshold is the grayscale, like from white to black basically. Then there's I know I saw that in some of the places.
And then you have probably it's a method. You need a method that handles what happens after you pick.
Yeah. Yeah, there was also this bridge support file. It says could not find bridge support file for framework OpenCV.
Yeah, sometimes it doesn't matter. So it's complicated. I don't have a whole lot of experience in that. You can, it automatically generates a mapping.
So for you new folks, the kind of the bulk of your app and where a lot of the stuff, the configuration stuff happens is in the grid file. And this is where you can include certain things. So for instance, OpenCV, thankfully, is a CocoaPod. And a CocoaPod is like a little library that can be used for iOS applications. The nice thing is RubyMotion allows to use CocoaPods. So the good news is there's an OpenCV CocoaPod. So you sort of like include it here and then rake again to bring in your CocoaPods. And then I included it here as a framework, and it seems like it's included correctly.
Right, there's cases where you need to have some custom code to review. That's what I'm.
But it might be that it's not even. Yeah. Okay, so still go there. So one thing that I tried here was this. But Andrew, this is basically even for the most part.
Yeah, allows editing true and that ambiguous types.
You didn't have these types, just like this. Did I get this right? Photo library. UI image paper control source type photo library.
Wow.
So, did you have anything elegant?
Okay. So if I go here, then maybe UI is an UI image controller. I do self and then try to run this. I think I get error that is. Oh,
There you go. You have to find your callback. I don't know.
I thought maybe I had to
Oh,
call
well, you're not looking at the screen.
right, so I thought I had to call it on screen. And that's what it was crashing down on me. What are you calling it on? Are you just calling it on self?
Not even- I mean, it's implicitly called on self. So you just,
If it's just like that?
Yeah. try. No error, it's just crashing.
Yeah, it just crashes.
Try. Crash log.
Yep. Oh, jeez.
And then the error is usually just a crash.
See here.
Scroll up near the top. It's static trace right there.
100%.
0.
Is it one of these at some point is the actual crash? Because it looks like this is looking pretty good.
Well, usually I go through and Trying to figure out what like, something.
Something looks broken. Oh yeah, there's something.
This would be more interesting if we could see Eli's screen.
Andrew?
There's people saying in the chat, I can't see the screen either.
Oh, Eli dropped off.
There we go.
Oh, did it crash on me? Oh yeah. Oh, here we go. Come back. Oh, there we go. Uh-oh.
Reliably reproduced.
Yeah. Okay. So can I turn up my volume?
Yeah.
Hello? Hello? Okay. So go back here.
Sharing your screen, yeah.
Yeah. There we go. Okay. Do we have any suggestions from our listeners at home? Okay, well this doesn't really look like it's giving me much right now.
In that trace, it was in the middle of presenting the
Up near the top? In here somewhere?
Yeah, so you can see you were in Maine, down the line 27,
Yep.
and then going up, it starts presenting the control, image control.
Or some of those lines, and then you get to UI presentation controller, controller.
This doesn't really tell you much.
It's not really telling me
More than
much.
you already knew.
Right.
Is there a certain log level that you can create to make more information? Okay.
Well, I mean, in my mind, it's sort of like we'd have this if we. So if I just comment out that line. Oh, not crash log. In here. So I can get in here and look at like and delegate. Yeah, this all looks good. But it keeps saying there's no, that's an undefined method, present view controller.
Because you're doing it on main instead of the home screen.
So then, I'm going to do screen here.
I don't know. When you're in the REPL.
Oh, I
you're
see.
not in the context of the screen.
And then, so is there a problem with it being just a regular screen?
No, it's. I'm not sure why.
Well,
my two guesses are maybe you need to like dismiss something before you do it, or you need something that's going to delegate, or maybe the animation doesn't.
There wasn't much more than this anywhere I've seen it, and this is basically what you're doing, Andrew. This is the extent of what you're doing in any examples that you've done there.
Is there a way to hard code what you're trying to do without make it the interface usable? That's a good idea. Just
Do we lose Eli again?
I love Hangouts. Not.
It's
Here it is over here. You can see in the
so
side over here.
unpredictable for Eli.
OpenCV. Oh, there we go. Did I crash again?
I think so.
Yeah.
I'm gonna keep.
it was just a far right.
Google Hangouts doesn't seem like a very reliable service.
Okay. Is it because it's not like? Is it because it's like front? Is it because it's not right up front? Maybe it needs to just like live out here more.
I don't know.
I don't know if that's doing anything.
Why don't you unmute your?
Okay. Oh.
Oops, sorry. Let me mute mine.
Somebody's got to unmute. I can't hear a thing.
Okay. There we go. There we go. So, let's see here.
I just start by putting the image on the screen. So you can see that we're pulling that in.
Okay.
Like an on mode instead of a by image view.
Yep. Unload. This was an interesting, this hello world here. This is interesting, like thing. I think this was part of the default or like the scaffold, the like RubyMotion scaffold. And why set it to that? It's like, is it being called somewhere else? Maybe in the styles or something like that?
No,
So you're doing this too. I frequently expose variables like that if you want to reference.
But this was just as well. This is as it was. Like in the when I just like create a new project. It was like that.
That's what I mean. It's like if you create a new project and blow this up, then you can get the whole world.
Can you get it? I always thought you could only get it with globals, like with $.
Well, they both work.
Oh, really?
or if you have a reference to a screen, then you have reference to it.
Oh,
If
really?
they created an reference for it, you could get like a line screen.
Resources are just available just as is, right? You have to reference it in the resources folder.
That's fine.
No, you don't reference the image like that. You have to say you're appending a UI image view, and you give the label or the key that you want to use to style it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and then you close that
Yeah.
and style it by doing like
In the home screen styles.
you do it there. I was thinking more of just doing it non.
Yeah. Am I still on? Are we still good? Okay, we're still good. Okay.
Yep.
All right. So I forget the inline style.
Just do dot style.
Oh, right.
It's
Yeah.
That styler that you get from the block.
Yeah.
And, some methods in it.
Just image.
I think so. Do,
That was a log. Classic. And size. I feel like that was.
for image going to be resource. Sorry, on the other side of it.
Oh, resource.
Image dot resource.
Yeah.
I don't think you need the
Don't need the parentheses.
JPEG.
Those PNGs.
So that's the image.
Is it RMQ width? Like full was the. Now you're thinking. Hey, there we go. Check that out.
What was the warning?
Image. Oh, I see. Supposed to do that.
Something.
Yeah. See, and this is the hard part is like if I go to CV on, it's here, but this is the extent of the documentation on this thing.
There are no demos anywhere.
I mean, there was one. Let's see. There was one version of one that I found, but it was 2 or 3 years old, and it was like kind of old RubyMotion
No,
stuff.
I mean Objective-C demos.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Not much that I could find. But I mean, latest release here, August 2016. I mean, that's relatively recent.
Yeah, obviously they have some examples, but I'm not really happy. It's not one of the language they support.
Right,
That's
right,
a frequent issue.
right.
Typically, you have to end up looking for Objective-C and
Yeah,
converting it over.
yeah. You look for like the Objective-C documentation and kind of like Rubyify it. It's like yeah, it's like sort of like this kind of like present view controller, this where it's like this is the method name, but the method name is actually like present view controller animated completion with like the method name is like these chained method names. So it's these long method names, and you sort of have to like, it's got a whole bunch of Objective-C nonsense in there, and so you have to like kind of
Try to make some sense of that.
yeah, you kind of like skim off. It's like usually it's like this is the Objective-C code, and then like this is like the Rubyified Objective-C code. It's like it usually is quite a bit smaller, you know.
It's fairly easy to translate between Objective-C and Ruby in my experience. I don't really know script very well, so I think that's a little bit harder.
Yeah.
Not as similar languages.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. There's a couple little quirks that once you figure those out, you can see the Objective-C code, and you're like, like, okay, get rid of this, get rid of this. This turns into a colon. This turns into a parentheses. You know, that kind of thing.
so if there was a demo,
Right. So like, we can find. Yeah, see, a lot of this just sort of like uses the no. This is all still like capture stuff. No. CV mat.
but I guess maybe the first step is make sure you have access to the classes.
Well, right, and that's the part that it was like in the rake file that it was like, okay, so I've got this. If I rake config in here in the libs, I've got this. So that looks good to me. And so I didn't know, this is one of those times where it's like, it's a CocoaPod, so do I have to include it in the frameworks? Yes. Like I do here. So I have it as a CocoaPod and I have it as a framework. But is there much more that I have to do? Like, do I have to like include it in some way, or do I have to like import it in some way, or?
So this part, every CocoaPod is different.
Oh, really?
Sometimes you have to add directives into the list or something.
Right, right,
And it's hard to know ahead of time unless you know what someone's already done it.
right.
Yeah, like you can see some of those lines that say app vendor project.
Right.
Yeah.
Different ways of like including that.
Hey, are you missing another framework?
What's that?
Are you missing a framework?
You mean here?
Yes.
Well, because if I look over here and I look at frameworks, these are all the ones that are included by default. So it's like all of these, and there's a bunch that OpenCV says that it requires, like it requires Accelerate and Asset Library, and like, you know, these are all just like you get these by default, and also OpenCV. So it comes with all of those. You get all those sort of for free. Those are kind of the defaults. So
Okay.
it seems like I've got OpenCV in there correctly. Yeah, I don't know if I have to go much further. I mean, it's right here. It's like in the libraries here. It's all going all the way into the framework, including OpenCV too.
Well, type OpenCV.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, what's the next step, assuming that we've
Let's see here. Okay. Oh.
Caps.
What's that?
All right, so that's a bad sign.
I think it might not be called OpenCV. I think it might be CV.
Sure.
That's what I tried.
Yeah. It's going to be caps.
You think so?
Yeah.
CV2?
At the very
CV?
least, it's going to start with a capital. It's a constant.
We're not working with the. We're not working with like a Ruby object. We're working with actually a bunch of classes that have specific names.
So what it has included is OpenCV and then OpenCV2. Uh-oh. I clicked it. I clicked on this like symlink for OpenCV2 right there. Oh, okay, no. Do not want to open that.
What about that headers? So all those headers are things that we potentially.
Yep.
That's what it's in access.
What's that?
I think it's the root of
Yeah. I think so. And so here's opencv.hpp. What's HPP file type?
I think it's a C++ header.
Header something?
Header. Like the main.
Oh, right.
It's a header for files.
Oh, okay. So then, so maybe I don't want to open that. Oh, here we go. Okay, so that one includes all of these. Core, image processing, photo, video. But it seems like these are, what is, let me see here. So this like libs directory or this libs part of the config, is that Oh, this is nice. That's kind of cool. Look at this in the libs here. It has like Objective-C. So like it knows that this is a Objective-C kind of CocoaPod. But somehow we have to be able to call it. So
What about the CV, no, the V lowercase?
no,
Alright, try CV mat. Those are letters. What happened?
like this,
No.
like that. CV.
Yes. No. Okay.
No.
That's what we try.
There's a library called CV for iOS,
I saw that one as well.
which has a class, several classes. But one is CV photo camera. Try.
Should we try adding another CocoaPod?
I just check and see if you go to access to that
What is it?
thing.
What is it?
Capital C,
Yeah.
abstract. Or
What is it?
Yes. There you go.
What's a good
have
one?
access to that.
Okay, wait. Which that was so there was OpenCV. There were 2 or 3 of them. There was like OpenCV for iOS. There was like I didn't know which one made sense or which one.
So I'm assuming that several of those are the same thing. They're just using a different name for the same library.
Okay.
I don't know what we would use now.
Is it written in C++? I guess like,
OpenCV?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
okay, so that's the C++ way of defining constants with like the lowercase cv. I had this problem with OpenStudio once.
Yeah.
Basically, the mapping didn't work out of the box because you can't define a constant like that. So
You can't define a constant like this.
Yeah.
It has to be
Right.
Yeah.
So the gem that I was using created mappings using the constant, like using capital letter constants in Ruby to map to those ones.
I think that you have like CV2 and then dot and then you have like a namespace in Python, but mapping the OpenCV namespace.
Mm. Yeah. Okay, so we've got CV abstract camera, but does that mean it's going to take a picture? Does that mean it needs the access to the camera?
Well, my brief read of the document or other
Yeah.
like a video feed or a camera
Yeah.
feed basically.
Yeah.
And those two delegates or whatever allow you to take a photo or take video.
But you can't.
All of which you're not going to be able to do.
Yeah, you can't. Right. You can't like bring it. You can't like import an image.
There's a method, a very basic method that OpenCV is like open IM or open image. I don't know if you have it, but this way. Just CV and maybe it's all together IM.
Hmm. This is interesting. So this is just like the direct like that is the name of the class, just in the C++.
You're in some section called iOS glue.
iOS glues it then.
What the
Must be the glue code.
abstract camera, photo camera? I wonder what photo camera is.
Exactly the same as you're using, right? So you photo, but it's about as
It still blows my mind that there is like no way to do that. Like the only way to do iOS development with the camera is like you just have to constantly be raking onto a device. There's like no way to use any sort of like external camera of any sort.
Yeah, it's encouraged to always have a device.
I think so. Capture session. Use AV capture video previewer. So they're all going to be very similar.
Yeah.
Abstract camera. Also, the abstract camera is like camera or it's photo or video.
Yes, the parent class.
Yeah, yeah. Well, so I guess would you say we've determined officially that there's the only way to do this is like to a device and with the actual camera at this point?
I mean, as far as capturing the image, yeah. But
I'm not sure actually. I'm looking at the tutorial right now.
But like to sort of from like a development standpoint, like being able to kind of like iterate a little more quickly and
so you haven't figured out how to get an image imported into OpenCV yet from not the camera.
well, right, I'm saying like maybe that's not even possible.
I'm sure it's got to be possible. That's the whole point of the library. Right?
Well,
I think good.
yeah,
It has
yeah,
to be possible.
yeah.
It might not be possible with RubyMotion. I looked at a few examples and they all were using Objective-C++ syntax, which is tricky. So, I mean, this obviously though is available by default.
Right.
So maybe
What-
there's some other class that
Right.
I don't know.
So let's see here. But this is, yeah, so this is like, you know, like the video IO. That's sort of like within the video IO. So CV
Right, so you have access to the ones that start
with capital C, lowercase v.
but you're not going to have access to the ones that have CV.
Right. So like
Without wrapping.
without doing something.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. but there's nothing here that looks very obviously like, you know, let's see if I just have access to these. Did I spell that wrong? Ooh, okay, that.
Oh, try CV Matt. Did you try that one already?
I did not. Which one?
One of the very long.
Very bottom?
Well,
Oh, this one? I thought we tried that.
Oh, they were presented in image, right?
It's so weird that some of these, like, was this one that was available?
Yeah, like CD Math, like the basic structure for images.
Well,
Like
right,
the
and
basic
that's
matrix.
yeah, and that's sort of what I was hoping to, because some of the examples I saw, like, where was it? This one here. So this is like, you know, matte.
Yeah.
And see, look at this, like, image read. So like, right, so like originally, so it was like, my thought was like, you know, somehow get it to the point where I could just pull in an image. And this could just be an image in resources, theoretically.
Check out a class called IPL Image.
What's that again?
IPL Image.
Is it all, so like this?
Yeah.
Capital I, lowercase p, lowercase l, capital I, image? No,
No.
no.
My guess is that the Python library has some other glue code. that,
Yeah, it's doing some other
connects to
things,
C++.
connecting some things there.
And obviously, it's written in C++. It's C++ code.
Right, right. But even these are like, have these, like this is still sort of like this still sort of seems like it's at the sort of the root or at the top. It's like CV2. And we still only have access to like these sort of like sub classes like this CV photo camera, CV video camera.
I think that C2 and that Python example is Python. It's not necessarily.
Happy file
uh,
between the Ruby and the Saber.
yes. I forget
What's that?
where it lives. The automatic mapping that gets created for the Google File.
Oh, I see.
It's in there somewhere. I forget the but you can see like it creates. Maybe if you search the whole project, it's probably in the vendor directory or something. Okay.
Well, I mean, we're down here in the headers.
Right. Well, it's not going to be in there. It's because that's the actual.
The C code.
It's going to be in, maybe in the build directory.
Yeah, I don't know. We're getting into the weeds here,
Right.
but it's in there somewhere. Because I mean, we're here in the pods, you know, so it's like another layer between the pod and everything else.
Yeah.
It's just strange that there would be.
Actually, if you do a clean on the project,
Yeah.
rebuild it, it should say where it's created.
It's funny, it asks you if you want to reset the simulator now. I think it's just like you have to confirm it. And so then it just says like, oh, it couldn't.
But anyway, even if you find it, this is, I would call this bad news because it's a lot of work to actually get the mapping set up.
So but some of it is set up.
Right. It can figure some things out automatically. It just doesn't seem to be able to do all of it.
You just sort of like, you kind of like accidentally get, you know, or sort of by dumb luck get some of the classes.
Yeah. Okay, so one of these lines.
Yeah, that's compiling some stuff. So the cool thing in this, you know, like each time you compile is that like it'll do this, it'll compile everything right now. But then in the future, it only compiles what changes you make.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So, I mean, this-
you were launching the simulator so quickly, right?
Right, because it's like all of this was already compiled and there weren't any changes that were made.
Compiling all of the red potion library.
Yeah, yeah. So you can see in here RubyMotion query. That's like one of the gems. There's a promotion stuff in there. That's another one of the gems.
It's great. It's transformed. It's really all the work code to Objective-C.
Actually, it's not Objective-C. It's compiled into some machine code.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
So it's actually built in a way. It's not like a transpiler where it's converting into Objective-C. It's
Goes directly to the binary.
yeah. It's compiling into the
So
Oh, you have to scroll up.
I didn't see. Yeah, I don't see it in there. So maybe it. Oh, I have to. Oh wait, didn't it rake pod install up here?
Yeah.
So it already did it? This is such a funny typo that I found that I looked to try to I searched and searched and searched to try to find where that comes from, like where that note comes from, so that I could just go and find wherever that repo is and just and just set and just like do the tiniest little like pull request. But I could not find it anywhere. Every search that I did for CocoaPod's repository just found people having some other issue and they had just copy and pasted like a chunk of their code.